Yeah, why is it so bright? I don't know, whatever.
Sanding down the bed sides so we can apply more layers and get these things finished off.
Appreciate you guys being on our live. We're just sanding away the fenders, front and back. We're trying to get everything prepped so we can add more layers to it. I'm gonna be sanding everything. This is the last fender. Once I sand it down, clean it off and everything, dust it off, I'll go ahead and make a few handles that I can incorporate into it. Just some 1/2 inch square tubing. Probably just weld it together just to keep it from flexing as well. Then once I make that, start fusing it in with more layers of fiberglass. That way it gets stuck on it. The last thing I'm gonna do for possibly today will be, I will fill this in with foam now that everything is shaped in. I needed it open in order for me to mock in the headlights and stuff. But now that everything is shaped, everything is on the inside, guys. So don't worry about how ugly this looks. This is a reverse mold. But with that, I'll go ahead and fill this in with foam and foam plywood kind of thing, and then spray foam, shape it in so it can be part of the mold itself, and then start filling it all in. If you guys purchase this and then you guys don't want to put actual LED lights from get that OEM look, you guys can just go ahead and just put off-road LEDs wherever you guys want. But we will be incorporating that in for you guys. Everything's already a perfect fit, so we just gotta sand everything down, make the filler, and then start fiberglassing inside. If you guys have any questions, let us know. We appreciate everyone that's supporting right now, watching our live. I don't know how to use this live, guys, so I don't know if I could add any captions or anything to let you guys know what I'm doing. I got my mask on, I got the fans, got the paint booth on, and I got the sander vacuum going on as well. So if you have any questions, just write it down. I appreciate any likes, comments. Go follow our page if you guys have any further detailed questions, and they should be dropping out soon. We plan on dropping or releasing January, and by early February we'll have them for life. So stay tuned. Let us know if you guys have any questions. Guys, we're gonna reinforce this afterwards. We're just sanding it down, prepping for us to be able to add more layers, add some handles for it, everything. These kits will be coming out soon. Go ahead and check out our videos on our page. If you have any questions, these are 2025 face swap for the Silverados, 1999 to 2007. It'll incorporate the backlights of the new generation, as well as it'll have the full face for you to run the 2025 headlights, grills, bumpers. It incorporates everything from the original truck, which was a 2001 Duramax. So it has all the body lines continuing into here. And then it has these flares that came off the original HD trim. That way, so it has a Duramax look to it. As you can see, the back is also flared. So the front will have headlights and the tail lights from the 2025 and up trucks. You guys will be able to get your, if you guys want the high country trim, grill and stuff, the same thing with the bumper. You guys will be able to get whatever you guys want fitted to the truck. We will be working on the suicide doors as well soon. I haven't had time to get onto this, but we will be filming the other side. This side, I did not know how to do it, so I went ahead and started it all myself. Kind of just learned all the troubles that came with it. Getting all the brackets to fit properly. I had to relocate it like, say, 7 times in order for me to understand how they function, since I couldn't find any videos on it. But I will film the entire other side for you guys to be able to see if you guys are interested in doing that yourself. But this is the back side. The fenders, I just added some colors to it. That way you guys can see it during Halloween. I was trying to get a spooky green Halloween thing going on. But finally getting back to it, sanding everything down today. I will be doing the same kind of exoskeleton towards the back, just so I can be able to manage them, move them around and stuff. So on the 2 sides, I'll add some of these bars. These are 1/2 inch. These are just, I think, 1 inch pipe, but I have a whole bunch of this 1/2 inch square tubing. So I'll make some exoskeleton to go around here, just to keep it from warping, since it's gonna be a 1-piece. But if you guys want to order the traditional 3-piece, we will be cutting them so that you guys can get an original fender, hood, and another fender. So whatever you guys have questions on, go ahead and drop them down. I'll try to answer them. So right now I'm gonna suit back up, put my mask on. I have my paint booth fans going, so I don't inhale any of these the fiberglass stuff, because that's not good for you. Got my suit, my vacuum. So just drop any questions down below. If you have any questions, go look at our videos. Let us know if you guys want to order one. All right, I'm done sanding it with the orbital sander. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get a wire wheel with a drill and get all the small areas where I can't get the fiberglass to fold. So anywhere right here, this is the other side. Since I can't get fiberglass to fold, it just doesn't actually like that. This is when I was trying to get the majority of the body. So I'm gonna cut this down, grind it maybe with a little grinder quick, and then get a wire wheel and get all in there so I can get really good penetration, mechanical bond. I'll hit it with some acetone to see if I can soften it to create a chemical bond, but then I'll fill all this in. So this is the reverse mold, so all the perfected side is on the inside. So right here, this all looks ugly, but once I go ahead and get everything finished off, I'll pop this off and it'll have the perfect imprint of the body kits that we're creating. So with that, we'll go ahead and sand it, reinforce everything. Then once I reinforce here, I'm actually gonna fill this up with foam, mold it up so it looks decent, in case you guys wanna not run the actual LED lights. So as mentioned before, this is the outside of the mold. So everything's already perfectly made to match the lines of it. But this is the outside, so it's not gonna fit right now. But if you guys don't wanna run this, I'll make it so that you guys can just attach your LEDs or off-road lights here, chaser lights and stuff like that. So we're doing that today, sanding down, getting a few more layers of fiberglass, and we're also going to add some handles like we have on the front over here. These are, you could call it an exoskeleton. It's just for me to be able to maneuver it around the shop because it's right now as a one piece. I'm going to be making them for myself as a one piece. If you guys want it as a one piece, you guys can order that as well, or we will be cutting them down to a three piece. That would be two fenders and a hood. But as you guys can see here, you'll be able to sport, this is a 2001 Duramax, by the way. So you'll be able to sport the 2025, 2026, whatever comes for these generation, the headlights, the grill, you'll be able to adapt it to your truck. We kept the HD fenders from the original Duramax, and we kept all the body lines. That way it matches all the way around. So you'll be able to sport. I don't have the headlights out here in the shop with me, but as I mentioned, you'll be able to sport. And then this is just a non-LED. This is a halogen, but if you guys want to get the LEDs or something, you guys are just welcome to put those on, whatever you guys want. And then as well as the bumper is already designed to have the bumper right there. So everything's gonna be already molded and sculpted for you to buy OEM or off the market products that you guys can find, whether that's original from the dealership, or if you guys want to get something like Amazon or some custom plated bumpers, you guys can do all that. You guys will have to source the headlights and the grills, and then you guys will be able to just order the kits from us. The hood scoop will be functional, so when you guys get a hood ordered, you guys will be able to cut this little section out and you'll have an actual air scoop in there. That way you guys get good flow. And we did test out ourselves on the Duramax and it works great. So if you guys have any questions, today we're just sanding down so we can add more layers. We're gonna make an exoskeleton for the we'll probably add a few more down here just to keep it from flexing, and we'll add some to the back again just so we can maneuver with it. But we're going ahead and sanding, so I'll get my drills and get started on sanding the inner parts of the mold. Again, I'm trying to get in there where I can't get with the sander. Obviously, the sander is gonna be nice and flat, so I can get the majority of stuff. But we just want to make a mechanical bond when we add more fiberglass resin and cloth. That way, it all penetrates inside and it doesn't separate. So I'll continue to use either a flat one, a rounder one, or a small one in order to get inside of there. So I'm trying to continue the shape so that it bonds with the new stuff. So last time that I added some layers, this is fine because we were expecting it to droop a little bit when it's sagging, you know, when it's running. But over here on the corner, it didn't get to go on the underside, so I'm gonna cut it out. It's overhanging. I'm gonna cut it down, and then so we can expose the inside layer. So I'm gonna grab a grinder. Some of these areas are just far too much. You guys can see. So the overhang didn't allow me to add too much fiberglass and resin back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the edge in order for me to get to the bottom side. Then with the new products that we have, we'll be able to just make a thicker, it's resin with fiberglass already bounded in, and I don't have to worry about the cloth itself. But we gotta cut all this off. That just overhung. On the front over here, I was probably just paying a lot more attention, but you can see that there's no kind of sag or overhang. It was just probably majority of me keeping an eye on it and continuously, you know, pressing it down when it was starting to settle. So we have to address that. I won't be able to address the sides until I'm able to remove the bed, which I won't do until this is all one solid piece with the metal bars. As you can see over here, this is when we did the front one, and either we already did that phase or we were able to round it out over while we were doing it, but we will still be adding some more here. This is just gonna be about 3/4 that we're gonna keep afterwards anyways when we make the molds. I mean, when we make the pieces, this is just for the mold. Same thing with anything like this. Just gonna go ahead and cut it off so everything's perfectly. You can see that's still nice and flat with the extra resin for the mold itself. It's pretty strong. Everything here, it'll be like this on the back where you can see that it's totally infused inside of it, apart from it being welded. It's just spot welded. It's nothing fancy. It's not going to be part of the final thing, so we weren't too worried about that. We just want to knock all this extra. As you can see in here, all that is extra. So we'll go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and knock that down so that way I can address it when I do the next layer ups. Same thing here. Remember, this is just the mold, so it really doesn't matter, but I do want to incorporate these small flanges so you guys can have a nice little trim out when you guys put your bumpers and stuff. So I think I have to add a little bit more sanding here, but the majority of it sanded, so just knock some of this ugly stuff off. So I'll go ahead and get it started on this side since I'm already set up on this side. for everyone here. How you guys doing? How you doing, Bell Fitness? Paul, how you doing, man? We're working on my truck here. We're building body kits to transform your 2001. This is a '01 Duramax Silverado. This is a 2025 and newer face swap. So you'll be able to use the headlights, the grills, the bumpers from the newer generation trucks. This will give you the pre-runner look. That way you guys can have oversized fenders, mud terrains. This one is already previously set to run 40-inch tires, and it's running on a 6-inch lift. You'll be able to sport the brand new tail lights. Let me get that. This is the outside carcass of the mold, so it's not gonna look perfected how it actually is. But on the inside, once this mold is the last layers we add on it, it'll be the perfect mold on the inside. We'll be able to get our pieces in. We're only about a month away from revealing the first body kit on the actual truck. But again, this is a 2001 Duramax. We're putting on the 2025, 2026 backlights, front lights. You'll be able to run the bumpers. It's already being made to run the bumpers. So anything you guys want to go ahead and buy off the market, from a dealership, anything like that, you'll be able to sport. Everything's gonna be on the inside. It's already a perfect body. We spent the time and we blocked it with acrylic sanders. That way you guys, it's as close as possible to a perfect finish for like show quality paint. So you guys don't have to worry about too much work on that. But we did keep the HD fenders from the original 2001 Duramax in order for it to still have a mix of the new truck, which is the body kit, and the old truck. So we kept all the body lines here. I'll show you in a moment. It continues to the front of the actual fender. So that way everything is nice. Anything that you guys buy from the market, whether it's a dealership, Amazon, anybody else building custom headlights or something, it'll fit perfectly on here. The grill, same thing. The bumper will all fit perfectly. What we took our time was we had to redesign many of the body lines from the newer one, because some of these lines here cut down for where the new door goes. So we took that off and we ran it up here. That way it all flows nicely. Second, we added the fender flare from the original. The original trucks have this in order to distinguish like an HD truck, usually a Duramax or a heavier frame that is capable of more towing and more work. So we kept that in order for it to have an aggressive look. We added the hood scoops to be a little bit taller, more aggressive as well. But everything we focus on making sure that this would be a nice fit for the actual body lines. If you guys see there, I'll go ahead and cycle the door open. So you'll be able to see that everything on that body kit right there is a nice fit. We're trying to keep it as close to like 1/8 of an inch. That way you guys can send it if you have need or want more of a gap there. That's all for you guys. We're trying to get as close as we can to giving you guys a perfect fitting body kit. This truck, we'll be using it as our show truck. That's why we'll be working on the suicide door kit here. But we'll be posting a video on that at a different time. We're working on that. And this will be obviously our front door. Sporting this. We're still contemplating if we're going to keep the middle pillar or try to bridge it somehow. Maybe a small little roll cage or something just to keep everything safe. Again, this is a 2001 Duramax Silverado. And you'll be able to do a face swap for a brand new truck. This was the purpose of building this, so that you guys don't have to go and spend $80,000 on a new truck. You guys can have a new looking truck with the body kit that we're providing. These are just momentarily just to help us when we're moving the body kit, since this is made as a one piece, so it doesn't flex on us, which we're gonna be doing this to the back sides in a moment. We'll make an exoskeleton for the back sides. If you guys have any questions, let us know. We have a lot of videos on YouTube that are showing the process of how we got here. And if you have any question on fitment or ordering, we expect to be releasing for order starting February or middle of February. What I'm working on today, I sanded everything, but I want to strengthen this up a little bit more. Being that it's the outside carcass of the mold, we are trying to reinforce these body lines that took us quite a bit of time to make them fit perfect. When we were sculpting the body, we started with fiberglass. We started with drywall and foam. Once we had drywall and foam, like kind of like the basics, we started shaping it with drywall mud and Bondo. Once we got to that part, I actually installed these, filled with some tape. Then I traced everything so we had nice, perfect, sharp body lines. But now with the fiberglass for the mold, it's not gonna fit perfect, so you won't be able to see that. But in order to strengthen it, I'm just going around. I got my DA sander right there. I'm using wire brush to get into areas where I can't get to. I'm obviously gonna be suited for all this. I have the paint booth going on. I have the vacuum, and I'm suited up in order to keep me safe. But once we get all that done, we're doing any excess, cutting it off. Then we'll continue with our fiberglass layers. As I mentioned, I'll put a exoskeleton right here, or put a handle right here, bridge it across to reinforce it, put another handle right here, and just probably bring a reinforcement on top. That'll keep it from flexing on us when we have to move the thing. But we have taken care of as much as we can. We had to use one of these original pieces to sacrifice it, but we kept everything nice and tight. That way you guys can have whatever look you guys are going for. If you guys want to cut that out for airflow because you guys are going on the dunes and stuff, that's totally fine. If you guys are going to have a daily driver and just needed to go to work or events, stuff like that, whatever you guys are trying to sport with it, we're trying to take care of as much as we can for you guys. If you guys have any questions, let us know. This will fit for any truck from a 1999 Silverado to a 2007. So if you have a bubble eye or a cat eye, you'll be able to use these kits. See, what was I'm sanding the last little edges, the undersides of the little belly sides. We're trying to make everything super nice fitment, real close to original. So let me get the undersides. I got a little bit more sanding to do, and then we'll start layering up. Your delivery driver, thanks, bro. Check it out, guys. I'm gonna show you. Almost forgot here. You guys can see that it's still a little bit shiny right here. Obviously, I can't get in there with the sander, so that's why I'm gonna grab the wire wheel and go ahead and get it in there. That way it can give me a good bonding agent. Can you guys see the light reflection off of that entire corner right there? That means nothing right there has been sanded. Right here you can see all the dull spots. So right here you see it's all shiny. So this entire area, especially starting in here where it's super smooth, I gotta sand it down with something, which I'll use a wire wheel. I'll get all this. I'll just open the door if I can, or however I can get it for me to have some sort of grit. And it's just for me to have a mechanical bond for the new layers. Again, I'm gonna just do all this. It already has like 4 or 5 layers. This is just the mold. That's totally okay for it to look like it is right now. But here, I'll go ahead and put the camera on this corner, just so you guys can see what I'll have to do in order to get that corner. All right, guys, everything has been sanded down and vacuum cleaned. Last thing I will do, let's see. Last thing I will do will be blow it all off with the air compressor. But I've sanded everything down. This is the outside of the mold, so it does look ugly, but that is purposely meant to be look like that. I mean, not purposely, but it doesn't matter. So it's just about getting layers, making everything sturdy. The inside of the carcass, it's already the show quality finished, mold, sculpted, and sanded. We used the acrylic block sanders in order to get everything super clean. This is a 2001 Duramax Silverado, and we are making 2025 body kits. That way, if you guys want to convert to a new truck, you guys can do so. These are just handles that I incorporated so that when I remove this, mold to make the replicas, it doesn't warp on me. But if you guys can have anything from a 1999 to a 2007 Silverado, so if you guys have a bubble eye or a cat eye Silverado, you guys can make it look like a 2025. These kits will be coming out. First one, these are just drying up. We're gonna add a few more layers, and then we'll get the first batch to show you guys. We'll mount it on a new truck, and that'll be in January. By February, we should be able to have everything up for sale. You guys will be able to sport the 2025 lights on your 2001, 2002, 2007, whatever you have. It's already made to hold the bumpers exactly how it would fit. I kept all the body lines of the original truck, starting all the way from the front, and it runs all the way towards the back, continues just underneath the tail light, including this HD flare from the original trucks. If you guys see any of the 99 to 2007, some of the years after might have them as well, but they had a much bigger flare. The new trucks have a tiny 1-inch, 2-inch kind of flare. I didn't like that, so I kept this from the original, made it a little bit bigger. Everything will fit, including the lights. Everything's already perfectly molded to it. We took our time to make all the clearances. You'll get your own grill. The bumper will all fit perfectly. It's meant to run 40-inch tires. I had 15 wide, and it was just inside barely. So if you guys run any kind of deep dish or spacer to your deep dish, you will be poking out a little bit. But whether you want to be true pre-runner or just daily driver, you guys will be able to sport this one way or another. The back sides will have the inner flange that I was just sanding right now. That's so that you guys can literally just get this kit, and when you have your bed, you just cut off basically from here out, cut it all off, just keep this little flange, and you'll just be able to bolt, glue, whatever you want to fasten it with, but you'll be able to get this entire bedside to fit to your original Silverado. So this wall tailgate, it's all incorporated. All the clearances are already there. Again, you'll be able to put halogen LED tail lights. Everything's gonna be perfectly fitted. It's already been mocked up, taken care of. This is the outside of the carcass. You guys can see that the clearances is what we made sure to get as best as we could. So we try to keep that real nice and tight, real clean. Doesn't bind, and that would be the clearance that US would receive. But on our kit, we did a little bit of extra flare on these hood. I don't know what the hell they're called, but we also incorporated this hood scoop. We made these like the original trucks back in 99, 2001, where everyone would do the HD swap on their truck. So we kept that so it would be a little bit aggressive, because the originals right now, 2025, 26, they're only about like an inch tall or less than an inch. I made mine 2 3/4 just to give it that aggressive look. The hood scoop will be operational, so you guys will be able to draw air right there. And on this truck, I am doing a suicide setup. So this will be on this particular Silverado Just trying to go all out. I will have coach seats right here, power seats in the back, the same ones that you get on the front. I'm getting a dual set on the back, so we're building that. But that one's been on hold, trying to get these body kits out of the way. We're still working out where we're gonna put our latches and stuff. So this is still a work in progress. It's been on hold for about a month or so. The door handle is gonna get swapped here. That way they're nice and close to each other, like a Lincoln Continental. Again, I'm kind of keeping all this inner structure so you guys can mount it directly to your original bed. Make all the body lines flow real smooth. This is the overall truck right now. Again, that's a Duramax 2001 2500 HD frame. You guys will get bedsides for the new trucks and the entire front kit. You guys can get it as a one piece or as a normal three piece, where I'll cut the fender here and you could have your hood tilt upward. This one is meant to tilt to the front. If you guys know how they function and stuff and you have a question, I did have it split right here, which I only joined it so I can get the actual mold done for you guys. But once the first kit is out for me on my truck, since I want the front tilt, I'm gonna cut it straight right here. That way that half can open up and this piece will stay. We already had it functioning like that before and everything cleared fine. I just wanted to make it all one piece so I can make sure all the body lines will be perfectly matched. We took our time to redesign some of the lines because these would flow up and then this line would flow down onto the new trucks. They have like a funky door design, but I made sure that I brought it all the way up and brought it back up. The headlights and everything cleared perfectly. We had to use a sacrificial setup, lights, grill, and make sure everything fit right. So right now, today, we've already been sanding everything, cleaning up. We're gonna make some additional handles for the sides, for the bed sides, just so we can move them around and get everything working right. Just to show you guys again, this is the clearance that we've been working on, perfecting. So making sure that everything works nice and smooth for when you guys order a kit or you guys see these on the street, they will be a nice, perfect fit. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go, well, what I'm gonna do next is start filling these in. So I'll get some foam, stuff it in there, then I'll get some spray foam on the outside of it, let it cure. I'll sand it down, fill it with something just so it can hold, and then I'll fiberglass that in when I get to come back to all these small corners. So let's go ahead and get that done. I'll go ahead and start showing you guys. Alright. what I want to do is get foam in here so then I can spray the spray on foam, build it out. So I'm just trying to get it to hold itself, and then we can add from there, take away from there. I'm removing some of the old tape so I can make it one solid piece. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Some of this tape has been on here for a couple months, so it's been a pain. But I'm gonna take this off, take this pull off. That way everything can be incorporated for you guys and you guys can cut as needed. Some of you I know that won't be running a tailgate. You guys might have a spare tire system. So whatever you guys are running, I'll be able to make it. That way you guys can mod it to your needs. Just trying to replicate for the other side. Probably just gonna make cut lines in order for it to be able to bend. I'll probably go with the whole thing. Let's see if I can just do this one. So what I'm gonna do is just make cuts, which I already have done. So I'll go ahead and keep that as my base. I'll be able to fill it in with spray foam, which I'll do in just a bit. And then I'll be able to cut it in. I'm gonna go ahead and take these off, which they're gonna be a pain, but I'll get back to it. All right. Just taking off the hardware so I can use them for later, if we get to use them. On this truck, I might not use a tailgate, so I need to keep them in case I need to see where the holes are for you guys to mount everything. So just trying to keep everything easy for you guys. I probably won't be able to shape the foam today because it takes a while, but I'll be able to get started with the frame and a few other stuff. Okay, these are the door tailgate latches and stuff. That one doesn't want to come off. Alrighty, now that that's out of the way, I'm just gonna use regular house spray foam in order to fill those gaps and then in order to be able to shape everything. Once this dries, I'll be able to cut it with any kind of knife, shape it down, sand it with a grinder, with a sandpaper or anything, fill the rest of it, and incorporate it as part of the fiberglass shell. Which will probably help me reinforce the design of it here, because then I'll be able to put a big large piece of cloth with the resin. Then I'm just gonna add a small layer to start building it up. You guys don't want to go too heavy on this, or else it'll just all start dripping. Okay, I'm not filling it in too much for the same reason that it will start sagging on us if we overdo it. So that'll be enough for us to start shaping it down or shaping it up, and then I can fill it in with something like either more foam, or how I originally started this entire build was with fiberglass. I mean, drywall mud. Something that cures fast and will adhere to this. Okay, I gotta hold back from adding too much. So I'll leave it as that. And I'll go ahead and get started on the other side. Putting the foam on the other side. So let's go ahead and get that started. This whole truck should have been sponsored by damn drywall, because that's how we did most of this sculpting. Okay. This is the exact same as the other side. So let me see. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Yeah, I cut the wrong side, guys. Shit. I'm supposed to keep that side. Fuck. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm just getting the shape here so it can be the base platform for the other ones that are going to be holding it up. Let's see. Okay, so that's what has to go. This has to stay because this. Like that. You guys just gotta play around, try to get the right shape so it holds. Okay, so now I'm just gonna shape it up. That way it lets me add foam and doesn't get in the way. Okay, that's nice. It's dirty. I'll do the same thing that I did on the other side. I'm gonna cut some cut lines, some slivers or something. And then that way I can bend it around. So I'm just doing just big enough. So I'll go ahead and just cut here so that allows it to bend. This will allow it to have some sort of round shape to it. Allowing us to hold. Okay, well, that part doesn't want to stay. Okay. And just like the other side, what I'm gonna do is just start foaming it up. Start with the inside. So this is also gonna hold this actual foam panel in there by you getting in between. Okay, so that's how I started sculpting everything for this entire truck. Let me see if I can add a little bit more on this side. Actually, this side looks pretty solid. It's already expanding. It only expands so much, but if I overdo it, then it will start to sag. So that's pretty good. This stuff is super sticky, so don't get it on your hands, don't get it on your clothes, because that shit doesn't come off. So then you guys can see once it completely dries and it expands, I'll just shave it down, use drywall mode like I did for the entire truck, fill it in, sand it, get the shape that I want. It won't be the actual headlight trim, but it'll be just flat from edge to edge. That way, if you guys don't want to add a tail light, you guys could just bolt on any kind of really bright LED for chase lights and stuff like that. So that side is done. And this one seems like it needs a little bit more, but don't want to overdo it. Just gonna have to do right here. Alright, that's it. That's all I'm gonna add on there, or else it's gonna start sagging. So that's it for today on that part. Alright, I'm gonna clean up right here. Then what I'm gonna do next is make the exoskeleton. So I have, what is it, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square tubing. So let me get that out. Alright, so I got this 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square tubing that I'm gonna go ahead and make the exoskeleton so I can have handles to operate this thing. I would have wanted, if I put them all the way here, it's really awkward, so I'll probably put them a little bit closer with just a little bit of extra ribs going across all the way. That way it can be nice and secure. So I'll start measuring that. I'll make some handles about here. And then I'll go off of there.